I never hate my race, but until recently I didn't know history class was jacked completely. Found my new family with the team going free. My old family doesn't understand me, cause I am so pro-white. No coke, no Sprite, I am rolling with the bubbly, gonna be more white. I saw them twist history right before my very eyes. Insurrection Day, it's in the book and it's all lies. But now I am alive and well to tell it. But will generations down the line be able to sell it? I've always been a thinker on the search for both sides, but they label me an outcast and they cannot tell me why. Guess I'm just a black sheep, white boy who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all do bleed red. I have to protect my family. Why does affirmative action make them not hire me? Even in the countries where I'm the minority. Is my race just that awesome and no other could compete? Is that what the anti-whites are trying to tell me? Why am I always seen as such a threat? To the point they want to strip me down till there's nothing left. Old friends from high school, man, I haven't kept one. But I got a new crew and it's where I belong. Cause if you ain't going free, you ain't rolling with me. And there are even anti-whites in my own family. But I am the one who's comfortable with myself. I try to save them from the hate so wildly raising hell. Cause I'm the black sheep, white boy who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all do bleed red. I have to protect my family. That Scotland is too white, is Nigeria too black? Don't get your panties in a bunch, cause I have the right to ask. See, I'm the black sheep, cause I call it hypocrisy. And the media will give you emotions, but they will not give you honesty. Yeah, you have your feelings, but I have the crime rate. And I'ma shoot to kill if there's a danger my way. So I do not blame the cops, just the ones who are cowards, who hesitate to pull the trigger unless it is one of ours. Cause he's a black sheep, white boy who doesn't hesitate to make a lot of fucking noise. I'm the black sheep, white boy, and I wouldn't change a thing if I ever had the choice. Cause the red's the color I bleed. Yes, we all do bleed red. I have to protect my family. So I put people to death. go free. I guess up to life to see. I'm just trying to help our people go free. I'm just trying to see. You're too blind. I'm just trying to see. Go free. I'm just trying to see. I'm just trying to help our people go free.
Good evening, America. I'm Jason, and you are watching Jason Goes Political. For the sake of continuity, all financial gifts $19 or less will be read at the end of the show. $20 or higher will be read as soon as I see them. You may financially gift at Entropy at a cost of 15% to you. The link is below. At Odyssey at a cost of 15% to you. The link is below. At Cash App at no percent cost to you. The link is below. You may also financially gift with cryptocurrency. You can do that at Cash App. You can also head on over to nowhiteguilt.org. Click on the financial gift tab, and you will see the wallet addresses there that we use here. The music and the graphics from beginning until right when we just started was Like Comedies, RC, The Realist, For Null, and Groundhog Fury. I hope you enjoyed. Let's go ahead and dig in today to what we're going to be discussing. If I can get some feedback on how the microphone is doing, I will deeply appreciate that. We're going to begin with the Politico story. The ancestral home of the moderate Republican faces the Trump swing. And really what we're talking about here is the war being waged on Donald Trump and his supporters, which are not necessarily people who like Donald Trump, but people who like the deceptive dog whistling that Donald Trump is known for. Things like close the border. And by the way, the reason why the border for the United States is never closed is because America is the white race. And having no border is the most visceral way, is the most carnal way to violate Western kind in these once great United States. But this war is being waged against Donald Trump and everybody who agrees with the deceptive dog whistling that he is well known for. And that is, of course, more than half of the population of the United States. And it's being waged from various places. From within the Republican Party, it's being waged against those people, their own voters. It's being waged from without, the Democrats like Biden and the rest, the Department of Justice, the FBI, etc. And then as a consequence, we are looking at what should have been an easy Republican crush of everything Democrat, which obviously doesn't mean something necessarily good for Western kind in the United States, but nonetheless should have been a very easy victory for the Republican Party coming up to these elections, and instead is getting increasingly tighter as we approach. And why is that important? Well, it's important because the Democrats have demonstrated that they have no loyalty whatsoever to any of the codes of conduct, norms, principles, laws, etc. in the United States, and that to all observers, even the most brain dead of observers, the United States looks like a third world country. Let's get into this. The ancestral home. Audio is good. Thank you all for giving me that feedback. Machiavelli sucks. David Lee. Hello to D. Hale. Kingdom of Vinland. Montana Kid. James Hayworth. Euro Yankee. Victorian Time Traveler. Caleb. So many great, wonderful people here. The Massachusetts gubernatorial primary is as much a proxy war between the Trump wing of the GOP and more moderate New England Republicans as it is a battle for control of the state Republican Party. And there is Jeff Deal, the guy that Trump is supporting. Boston, Massachusetts. Voters have twice rejected former President Donald Trump. I think then what probably should happen is Massachusetts is obviously too white. And I don't want to hear anybody complain that, no, we have to keep these areas the way they are. They have to remain picturesque. So that why? So that you can go vacation there? So that the few white people who live there can continue to villainy signal to the rest of the country and wag their finger at us for not being anti-white enough? No. All the buses from the border should be heading toward Massachusetts. Wherever the Republican Party is undermining and attacking and pulling funds away and etc. from those individuals who support Donald Trump, whether they like him or not, support candidates that he support, etc., all the buses should be shipped to those places. And if you're one of our brothers or sisters there, I'm sorry. That's just the way it's got to be. Because if I got to live with it, then you got to live with it. Until your population pulls their heads out of their fucking asses so they can stop anti-white posturing like this to the rest of the country. Got it? Massachusetts voters have twice rejected former President Donald Trump. Now, when you read something like that, and what you have to understand is that these folks are rejecting ideas like shutting down the border, ideas like putting America first. And of course, what is putting America first but a giant deceptive dog whistle of having some concern whatsoever with the white race, with the people who created America? It's a giant deceptive dog whistle. How do we know it's a deceptive dog whistle? Well, Donald Trump got into office and yeah, he did a few things. He did a little bit of this, a little bit of that, allowed himself to easily be pushed around. I think it's because he's too much of a businessman and not enough of a statesman and warrior. But then he got right to work for Israel and these other places around the world that are not America first. Meanwhile, you have these Israeli first groups in the United States. How are they able to operate? How is that legal? That are bragging about, yeah, almost every single candidate that didn't support Israel first, we shut down. Almost every single one bragging about that. That may not stop one of his acolytes from becoming the Republican nominee for governor Tuesday. Although Bay State's rank and file GOP have long promoted socially agnostic. Well, how about you? How about that? How about a few thousand busloads of people from south of the border? And then we'll see how socially agnostic you are in your lily white towns. Socially agnostic physical conservatives who can win over independents and frustrated Democrats Trump is hoping to bulldoze that tradition with former state rep Jeff Deal. State party, and these people, I'll point out though, for the midwits out there who might be saying, oh, well, then we're just going to support, since Jason is saying this, that means we support whatever these people have to say. No, if they're going to be the opposition, as I have articulated and will continue to articulate, then we need to be in their faces. They're going to have razor thin victories. We need to be in their faces saying, say our name, bitch. And if you don't, then we're going to go out there and we'll tell your voters, and we only need to convince like 5 or 6 of them, and then you'll lose, because that's how razor thin the margins are. So say our name, do some good, because winning in the office in the United States, look at Nikki talking about this very proud Zionist down there in Florida. Boy, we send her to. There's nothing that can be done in office. Period. Do you understand? Nothing can be done by holding an office in the U.S. government. They can shut you down. The anti-whites will always win because they control too much of the nodes of power, too many of the places of recourse. So the purpose of being in office is to communicate a lexicon that empowers the people so that you incrementally move toward an environment where too many people in that country, too many people in that society are in a different story. And the old anti-white narrative, the old anti-whiteism doesn't work on them anymore. So that when the anti-whites show up and they want to wave the flag, the red flag of child dead on the beach, or this family's journey from Guatemala to the United States, or look at all that your people did in the past, they will say, you anti-white motherfuckers. That's what they will end up saying. Do you want that kind of a future? Or do you want to keep putting people in office like Deal maybe, and some of these others that Republicans are, Trump rather, is endorsing, just to be able to give them excuses so that you could say, well, he really couldn't say as much as he wanted or do as much as she wanted. And well, we need to get more people in there, so that's the same thing they've been saying about the traditional Republican Party all along. State party leaders have been torn between embracing the former president and eschewing his rhetoric. Now, Republican voters are heading to the polls to either support a Trump-backed conservative for governor or a political newcomer who's become a beacon for the once dominant strain of New England GOP moderates. They'll just remain moderate while the rest of the country sinks into bloody, muddy, disease-infested third world status. And then all of that beautiful landslide of water and mud and earth and trees will begin washing up there in New England. And while the few polls available show Trump's pick leading, September surprises have kept party insiders, advisors, and even the candidates guessing about Tuesday's outcome. Do we know yet? How is he doing well or not? Trump declared Deal the only conservative running for governor in deep blue Massachusetts during a telephone rally Monday night. Chris Doherty, Deal's rival for the nomination, Trump said, is just a, quote, tool of outgoing Republican Governor Charlie Baker. Well said, Trump. A Trump nemesis who was not endorsed in the primary. Quote, Doherty will do nothing but surrender to the left-wing extremists. Do you see how feckless that is by Trump in his dotage now? Do you see how feckless that is? What if Trump had said, Doherty will do nothing but surrender to the anti-white extremists? Imagine that for a moment. Is Jason right on this? Imagine what that would do in these United States to the white population, to the people who put him in office the first time. Imagine how that would inspire them. Imagine how absolutely volcanic they would become in their endorsement and support, which he needs. But no, it's the left wing. It's the left-wing extremists. Trump said in his 5-minute speech, painting the business. And here's another thing. The folks who object to what anti-whites want to do in this country, whether they call themselves Democrats or left-wingers or what have you, the folks who object to them are told all the time by conservative cuckold content creators, like that guy we were reviewing this past week again, Buddy, and they're told all the time by people like him that they can't do anything to you. Well, if they try anything, we'll just outmaneuver them. And so as a consequence, they think left-wing extremists are just silly Starbucks flip-flop wearing yahoos. That's all they can't do anything. How absolutely asinine and pernicious. But even if that were taking place, but instead of calling them commies or Marxists or all of these outdated terms, you talk about looking as wizened and superannuated, even when you're supposedly in your 20s or 30s or 40s or whatever it might be. If they were referring to them as anti-white, that would still do an infinite amount of good. If they were saying, well, the anti-whites can't do anything to us, there are hidden premises there that work for them, even though they are drunk, brain-dead idiots saying that the anti-whites can't do anything to us. Trump said in his 5-minute speech, painting the businessman who was virtually unknown a year ago as a puppet of the establishment. That was a really ridiculous attempt. Lisa, is that who it is? Really feckless attempt to push back and to prove Trump wrong there. He was unknown, and so therefore he can't be a puppet. Quote, if you want to save Massachusetts from the radical left, the state is always voting Democrat. It's deep blue, it says here in the article. So get to these white people and let them know they're coming for you because you're white. If you want to save Massachusetts from the radical left, you must vote Republican up and down the ballot and vote for Jeff Deal. A Trump endorsement also looms over a contest next week in New Hampshire, among the last primaries in the country. It's a race where insiders say the former president's nod could propel either a far-right candidate who champions his election denials or the establishment-backed state Senate president against vulnerable Democrat senator. All right, let me see. Fit and Healthy at Any Age says, get him, Jason. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Let me see if it's worth jumping down before we move on to just what their conclusion is here. Just saying essentially the same thing. So what you're seeing up there is the Republicans moving, the establishment Republicans, if you will, moving to shut down you and me. It's in the avatar of Donald Trump and the people that he endorses, but it's to shut down you and me. It's those ideas that they don't want. Which one is this? All right. That they don't want as part of the party. That they don't want representative, that they don't want, because why? Because they're anti-white. The Republican Party has always been anti-white, and it continues to be anti-white. And Trump paid some deceptive dog whistle lip service to white America. That's how he got elected against the odds. Remember that. It wasn't a matter primarily of his money. It was because he spoke to the white population of America and said, we're going to put an end in deceptive dog whistles. We're going to put an end implications, right? We're going to put an end to your victimization. We're going to put an end to the white erasure of America. That is why you had such exuberance. That is why you had football stadiums full of people to come listen to this guy speak. That is why you have so many diehard people who are still supporting him today, even after all of the failures, even after the inability to even get rid of CNN in the White House press pool. GOP consultant says Biden's anti-MAGA speech made her cry, gave her hope. Let's take a look at her really quick. Again, the continuing war on us, on white America, by people like this. She's Republican consultant, waging war on people like us because we don't want to see our country destroyed, because we don't want to see the country overrun and become something biospiritually very different than what we made it, than what it only is as long as we are. A GOP strategist said she was moved to tears by President Joe Biden's recent speech condemning extremist election-denying Republicans. That's you and me. Anybody that would question. Now, again, remember this. Democrats always are denying election results when they don't win. The totality of the person's tenure in office, Democrats are denying. They're saying any number of giving you any number of excuses that the election is stolen, the election was rigged, people were prevented from getting to vote, and all of this sort of nonsense. And of course, nothing happens to them. But this little bitch right here, Republican, this little bitch right here, doesn't want you white people complaining, doesn't want you white people looking into the election, doesn't want you white people, I guess, wanting to shut down the border or maintain the right to self-defense or freedom of speech. So you got a problem with all that. What's really interesting is I think you're going to see the Republican Party bifurcate. And in fact, if you could see it from space, if you will, you might be able to see right now that those who are consider themselves sort of dissident Republicans and supported the ideas that Donald Trump was the avatar for is probably almost 100% white, with good people of all racial characteristics, all immutable characteristics sprinkled in. And then the traditional Republican Party, total witch's cauldron, melange of people united on the basis of anti-whiteism. To the point, such internal warfare waged on the Republican Party, despite the great momentum, to the point that the Republicans are setting themselves up to lose the coming elections. Big time. She was crying. This just reminded me when Obama first got elected. All of these people in media who were supposed to be impartial, such a joke, such a joke. I don't know how brain dead you have to be to believe that anybody in the regime's media is not anti-white and is impartial. So slews of these people broke out crying on air. Slews of them wrote poetry for Biden and the era that they were living through. Meanwhile, there's some white guy left somewhere, so the anti-white venom has to continue to pour. Everything feels really dark, she says. Everything feels really dark, really heavy. Sounds so bright. I know from having worked on the Hill, and this continues to this day, these are six-figure salaries. What she's making, these strategists, they make six figures, and they will come to work for somebody who wants to get elected or somebody who's in office, they want to get reelected for like 2 weeks for 6 figures. That's what the Republican Party is doing with your donations, you old lady with your blue hair. That's what they're doing with your money. Everything feels really dark, really heavy. We're in uncharted territory. Rena Shah told MSNBC on Saturday, citing the discovery of classified documents at former President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate, quote, "We are in an absolutely unbelievable moment right now. where we have a person who wants to hijack the country for his own gain. As she jumps into her most expensive Tesla that the company makes. Quote, so what I heard from Joe Biden last night gave me tremendous hope. She whined like a little bitch. Actually, she continues, to be very honest with you, it made me cry like a child. No shit, really? A female crying like a child? Because it reminded me of my late father who came to America in the 1970s, and my mother who came here. They came here to get rich. They came here to get rich. It was a place to get rich, not something that you came. So many of these people, when you hear about these immigrant stories, it's not we came here to make America better. No, it's we came here to get fat and wealthy. So how does that benefit us? How does that benefit the Americans? The daughter of those two immigrants. I believed in the goodness of American people. Yeah. Oh, then why don't you listen to the actual Americans who have it within their biosphere to make a Western country that can then be called America? Why don't you shut up and sit down? Because we make Americas and we want the border shut. And many of us want more investigation into the election, which, by the way, Facebook just told the world that the FBI came and asked them, hey, don't put this information out there 2 months before the election. So that's kind of interference, motherfucker. That's kind of interference, in my opinion. But, you know, it's totally still a legitimate election, though. It's totally still 80-some million votes for the corpse in chief. I was told by my parents that Americans are inherently good by virtue. They're accepting people. How far we've come away from that. Oh, so you mean white people are tired of being fleeced? And now you're going to try to white guilt us? You mean white people are getting a little mad about not getting the job we deserve, not getting into the school we deserve, not getting the grades we deserve, not getting the promotions we deserve, not getting the government contracts we deserve, not getting the loan forgiveness that we deserve because everybody else is getting it, not getting the grants that everybody else is getting. Maybe we're getting a little pissed. Maybe when we go out into the world and we're driving around that clunker that we keep having to repair, and we see all these newcomers. We see all these newcomers driving around in the nicest gear, in the night, looking down their nose, supercilious at us. Supercilious at us. As they look down at us with their most expensive cars and clothing and homes and all these our beautiful forests, our beautiful mountainsides, our beautiful countrysides, decimated by bulldozers and belching black smoke to build more houses for you people because you just breed your asses off. And then we are people of all races. And then we are expected to suffer under global regulations for carbon footprints. Go to hell. So what have I heard from Joe Biden was, again, there's a certain Americans amongst us that have been radicalized and are extremists. Yeah, you know what? We are extremists. I'm pissed off to hell. Do you call that extreme? Okay. If you call that extreme, then yeah, I'm pissed off. And I'm sick of this. And I'm sick of people like you in the Republican Party telling us that we can't have what we want in the land of our ancestors. And it is up to each one of us just to be vigilant and to push back, to take a whole new responsibility. Woo! Shut up, bitch. In his primetime address from Philadelphia on Friday, Biden called on Americans to defend against extremist Republicans and Trump supporters who have attacked law enforcement. Really? Really? This is so disgusting. This is the Trump supporters. That's you and me they're talking about there. And we're the ones that they claim that are known for attacking law enforcement. These anti-white murderers of law enforcement. These people who have from as far back as there were video cameras to videotape, They have been chanting kill police and killing police and everything else under the sun. They have no problem lying to you. Are you done with their system yet? You ready to go free of the anti-white narrative? We got a method for you, the go free method. This little twit. Look at this little bitch. This is what she says. For a long time, we've assured ourselves that American democracy is guaranteed, but it is not. We have to defend it. We have protected, stand up for it. So, this is what Biden warned. Okay, I apologize. So then Biden said it like a doddering imbecile that he is, barely able to speak, eyes wide open, unblinking, for well beyond a human's ability to do that. But maybe he's in the Guinness Book of World Record for that, unblinking, staring into the camera as a soulless Borg character. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. Okay, so while Biden, at least seemingly from the outside, it could be wrong, this is my opinion, at least seemingly from the outside, Biden used the FBI to squash the investigation into his son, Hunter Biden, and then sent the FBI to his competitor's home. And he's telling us there's a threat to democracy out there? Are you joking? Yeah, it's you, corpse. You're the threat, corpse in chief. Could he get any more? Could his skin get any? If his skin gets any thinner, his organs are just going to roll right out. And then Biden acknowledged that not every Republican embraces this extreme ideology, but said there was no question that the modern GOP is dominated and intimidated by Trump and his base. So you have these anti-white Republicans in the Republican Party joining together with the Democrats to wage war on you and me, white America, and all good people of all immutable characteristics that have come to understand that everything they care about is being destroyed under the banner of anti-whiteism. That's why they're here. That's why they're voting Trump, whether they get that or not. That's why it's happening. This is, by the way, triangulation just par excellence. Let's go ahead and jump on over to the next to last. I'll take a look at what you all are saying. Quick look at as we are 9 minutes past the bottom of the hour. All right, let's continue. We have a financial gift over on Cash App. Get out the 07s, please, ladies and gentlemen. 07s. Raucous emojis and salutes for Jacqueline. $25 financial gift. Thank you so very much. $25 financial gift. Let's put an end to anti-whiteism in both parties. And she writes here with it, thanks for being an excellent example for us. Well, thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. These are hard times. These are hard times to keep pushing. And we definitely need to come together and do what we can do where we are. And that is to focus all of our abilities to humiliate, to mock, to ridicule, but also to pin somebody with questions like the best of the reporters have ever done on these dissenter Republican candidates. And maybe when I'm done tonight, I will tweet and gab some to some of these people and put them on the spot. And when I do so, when you see me do that, you need to magnify it. You need to retweet it, regab it, give it a like, etc., to everyone you possibly know. And those of you out there that are a little squeamish about retweeting or regabbing a guy who is passionate about our people and the United States and the entire Western civilization, you need to get the fuck over it. I'm sick and tired of gabbing and tweeting and having like 6 retweets or I mean, what the fuck is going on? I got 11,000 people following me. Get over it. And you know how I know that you're just cowards, is that HB 2014 made over 1,000 clips of me, and he favored when I was very passionate, and so he made clips of that. Nobody retweeted. We could say that it's warranted hyperbole. He had so few retweets of magnificent points, and it was obvious. You go and you look on these people's Twitters, and you see the kind of milquetoast bullshit pussy ass things that they're retweeting. And if you know I'm speaking to you, then suck it up and make the change in your life. Lunder says you should go on Tucker Carlson. It may boost your name recognition enough to increase your ability to win office. Well, he would never have me on. But if that could somehow magically happen, I would go for sure. All right, let's see where we got to go next. DOJ considers next move after judge greenlights Trump's request for special master. Washington, the Justice Department faces partly conflicting goals as it weighs how to proceed in its inquiry into the handling of classified documents at Lago following a legal ruling on Monday, former prosecutors say. So, as I said at the beginning of today's show, you have the attacks on you and me that are by way of the proxy of Donald Trump and the candidates that he supports within the Republican Party. And then you have at the end of the last story the talk about Biden himself, who is attacking, and then into the story of the Democrat, and in my opinion, of course, but this is obviously political. There is no justice in the United States, in my opinion. People need to stop lying to themselves. A federal judge in Florida ordered the appointment of a special master to review documents seized from former President Donald Trump's Florida resort and temporarily blocked the government from using materials for a criminal investigation. So if you don't know what a special master is, that's just essentially somebody that the court can appoint. They could be a judge, they could be an attorney, they could be neither. They could be a professor. It's dependent on what the judge believes is appropriate for what is under consideration. So this is a third-party person that comes in, takes a look at the documentation, and then renders a verdict on the specifics that the judge, the scope that the judge has given this special master. Prosecutors, and by the way, one of my predictions about what the Democrats would want to do with this investigation is to drag it out as much as possible. So they might complain that, oh, this is weighing down the process or what have you. We want to swiftly move to justice. Bravo, Sierra. They want to drag it out, in my opinion, to do as much damage to Trump as they can. By dragging it out, they get to, in the news cycle, continue to revisit the topics that they need to be, points that they need to be revisited, but also anything else that could manifest with which they could smear him and turn people off from supporting. Prosecutors could appeal the order from U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon, both to prevent it from serving as a basis for precedent and to try to have it overturned so the investigation can continue. But that potentially risks a long legal battle, which I think they want. Or they could acquiesce to the order in hope that a special master could swiftly review the core documents at issue, which could get the investigation moving again sooner. In her order, Judge Cannon said a third-party arbiter should be able to review the documents, not only for issues related to attorney-client privilege, but also for executive privilege. So there were a ton of documents claimed. This was one of the things about the search warrant that seemed to be a significant breaking of quite a few of laws when it comes to the administering a search warrant. They were allowed to just kind of look anywhere they wanted, grab anything they wanted, anything close to it, or etc. These things normally have to be quite narrow. As I said, I think maybe on the last Jason Goes Political. That move struck some observers as a sensible way to help assure the public that the Justice Department's investigation was transparent and fair. Archangel says, I only recently started using Twitter and I don't see your tweets as often as I should. I always retweet you. Thanks for sharing that with me. You know that obviously Twitter is going to be, because they're anti-white bastards, are going to be shadow banning me. And so it might just be something where you have to make a process. You make it part of a process where you're going to go check. Did I tweet anything political at any of these dissident Republicans that you can retweet? Just like do it every other day or something like that. That was another thing that white America and good people of all races and backgrounds wanted Trump to do, which was to get involved in what the social media platforms, these anti-white leviathans, were doing to control and manipulate speech in the United States. And he didn't do it. Quote, she's worried about that 40% of the country that thinks the Justice Department has been unleashed on the former president, said, Sai Krishna Parkash. Ain't that America? You and me, baby. A law professor at the University of Virginia. But the prospect of the name of that person in Virginia, they just go hand in hand. You know the names of the states will be changed, right? You know the names of the states will be changed if we don't recapture our destiny, right? Who knows what this professor would opt for it to be called. But the prospect of having someone outside government rather than the executive branch itself help determine what could be covered by executive privilege left some legal experts confused. Well, they're always confused because they're neck deep in drugs and wife swapping or husband swapping. Special masters are more traditionally used to protect attorney-client communications after law offices are searched. And Judge Cannon has left unanswered how a special master can decide on far more diffuse and controversial questions of executive privilege, said Paul Rosenzweig. A lawyer who worked, Little Pink House is for you and me. A lawyer who worked on the independent counsel investigation of former President Bill Clinton. Quote, you have to give a special master some guidelines. Well, that's what she did, said Mr. Rosenzweig. I think that Trump has no executive privilege. Other people may disagree with that, but yeah, of course they do. Shut up. We're not reading any more from you. Former Attorney General William Barr, well, him to hell. He's an anti-white bastard. I don't think the appointment of a special master is going to hold up, Mr. Barr said on Fox News channel, adding, I don't think it changes the ball game so much as maybe, why are Fox News talking to this guy? He's obviously a traitor to the American people who voted for a whole set of principles and beliefs and etc. in the form of Donald Trump. Now, remember these guys? Remember these guys while Trump was in office? The entire time said, can't do anything, hands are tied. Democrats get in office, nothing they can't do. Nothing they can't do. Everybody's scurrying around saying, I don't see in any of the laws where they're able to do that. They don't give a shit. They're just going to do whatever they want to do. These guys get in there like this clown, and they say, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm not going to do anything. Justice Department, which together with Trump legal team, has a Friday deadline to present the judge with potential options for a special master, could appeal the ruling before that. Any appeal would come before the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Atlanta. Oh, boy. The Justice Department could ask Judge Cannon to reconsider her ruling and present their arguments again before her rather than file an outright appeal. The prospect of the Justice Department and Mr. Trump's team agreeing on any potential candidates for the role also seemed remote. It's going to be very difficult to find someone who's satisfactory to both sides and has an active security clearance and who's willing to undertake this, said Glenn Gerstle, who was general counsel at the U.S. National Security Agency. The requirement said comes pretty close to the definition of non-overlapping sets. All right, let's go ahead and just see where's the end of this. So that's where you are if you wanted to know in the Trump investigation on the raid of Mar-a-Lago, where the FBI strewn the documents across the floor because these are the most corrupt motherfuckers ever. They just strewn, they busted in, then they took these things out of their places where they were properly filed and then strewn them about the floor and took photos as though Trump lives in a crack house. Trump's just in a crack house and they're all just laying around hitting crack pipes, and then these secret documents are just floating around. Anybody can have a look and take a picture and whatever. When in reality, it's the Democrats who go into these secure areas and then leave with secure documents up their asses and in their shoes and wherever else they can fold them up and put them in as they go back to their meth den. In another aspect of ruling that some legal experts pointed to as puzzling and not grounded in legal precedent, as puzzling, we just don't understand. This is such Wall Street Journal garbage. Judge Cannon's order also said Mr. Trump faces exceptional potential embarrassment by an indictment describing the, quote, stigma associated with the seizure as, quote, in a league of its own for, close quote, for a former president. Of course it is. It's patently so. Caleb says to something I said, so true, Jason. That element of Judge Cannon's decision is fundamentally flawed and, quote, in tension with the idea that all people are equal under the law, said David Selensky, a professor of criminal law at Stanford Law School, who then went on to do another interview where he said the exact opposite so that he could arrive at anti-white conclusions both directions. He likes going both directions. As the former president, Mr. Trump commands media attention and is able to defend himself in the court of public opinion in a way most people cannot. Quote, he has the ability to... No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't, you Zelensky anti-white shitbag, because he's shut down everywhere. And then what, Android bans his app recently, effectively banning it on their platform. And when will Apple follow? So he does not have the ability. He's not going to have the ability by way of speaking through anti-white bastards like you who work in the regime's media. And you know it, and we know it, and we're sick of it. All right, we got one more article. And then I'll see what you all are having to say as well. This one is not on one of the 3 TVs behind me. Let me check really quickly to see if I've missed. And looks like I have not. Yes, I have. Ladies and gentlemen, get out the biggest raucous emojis that you have yet in your pockets. And I know for some of our guys, that's some big raucous emojis. Break them out. 07s for a true champion in service to white well-being. No white guilt clips. Who just financially gifted $100. $100. Saying with those dollars, this is the best political commentary on the planet. Man, thank you for that. This guy is a real hero. This guy is an actual superhero these days. The modern era. People who are actually doing things. This is it. This small community is it. So you got to be active because it's not going to happen anywhere else. Nobody else is going to do it. And this idea that if you go out and you hold a conference, or you go to disrupt somebody else's conference, or you stand on a street corner with a handful of people or whatever it is, and you chant something innocuous that, well, you're IRL, so you're doing something. Well, then everybody before the internet was doing something. And where did that can get us? Because everything was IRL before the internet, dipshits. Everything was. And where did that get us? No more criticisms of, well, they are getting out in IRL. They've passed out some leaflets that confirmed to the population that there are monsters out there who care about the white race, and they just want to eat alive all the non-white babies in the world. They're doing something. $100. God bless you, brother. I deeply appreciate that. This is the best political commentary on the planet. Jack Torrance says, nice tie. You're damn right. You got good taste. This is another Politico. Dems erase GOP's Senate advantage. You don't say. You don't say. You mean anti-whites, like the little bitch that makes six figures, like that little cupcake. That little cupcake bitch that makes six figures for being a strategist. I'm sure she's worth every penny. I've heard these people's suggestions before. So let me just tell you, worth every penny. Six figures over 2 or 4 week span. Another form of political welfare. This is what Republicans do this all the time. Democrats do it. They hire these non-white, anti-white political strategists and all of this other kind of thing because they're just radically anti-white. And they get to victimize a white person by hiring anybody but a white guy. Republicans do it because they're trying to buy votes from non-white people, which they've been trying to do since we were even born. So they think by paying that little cupcake bitch all that money, that's going to get them non-white votes. That's how pathetic they are. So we got these anti-whites in the Republican Party, the establishment of the Republican Party, waging war on you and me, the main body of voters for Republicans everywhere. You have the Democrats waging war on you and me and using these departments in the federal government, and totally criminal, 100% criminal, in my opinion, of course, because it just so happens that these motherfuckers are in charge and they could send people to your house and they can shut down, they cut your tongue out of your mouth and knock all your teeth out. So it's just, in my opinion, that it's utterly criminal to use these agencies this way. And you don't say the Dems erased the GOP's Senate advantage? What a surprise. 4 factors. This author says here, I could just, one is all we need. 4 factors, including a better political environment for Democrats and some struggling GOP candidates, have turned the Senate battle into a coin flip. No, nothing. When it comes to elections and Democrats, there's no coin flipping, except for those special coins that have been used by shysters on street ghettos from time immemorial. Those special coins. What's it going to be, pal? Heads or heads? How about I drag you around the street by the collar of your neck? Over the past few months, in a sulky, so that they have an entertaining ride of the environment. They get to see all of the interesting things in the city. Over the past few months, the advantages Republicans enjoyed in Senate races have eroded, breathing new life into Democrats' besieged majority. After ranting, and I just want to make clear, no Democrat should be able to get elected in a sane, as we hit the top of the hour, in a sane world where the Republican establishment wasn't waging war on the vast majority of its voters, you and me. No Democrat would be able to get reelected. They have absolutely ruined the country. They have ruined it with COVID restrictions, business restrictions, EPA restrictions, restrictions on speech, restrictions on right to self-defense. They've crushed absolutely crushed the economy, waged war on oil. I mean, they would not win anywhere. If the Republican establishment was not waging war on you and me, the vast majority of Republican voters, they would spend like half the amount of money that they've spent and win all of those elections. But it's not about winning the next election for the Republican Party establishment. It's about anti-whiteism. And the people that they hire to give them tips and strategy tips, you heard right from them, bawled like a child when Biden said, there are these radicals, you and me, who need to be silenced for all time. Those people without any power whatsoever are a threat to democracy. I mean, God, they're going to make us have to start rigging all the elections if they keep getting fired up and convincing other people. Not that they would have ever done that before, though. Over the past few months, the advantages Republicans enjoyed in Senate races have eroded, breathing new life into the Democrats' besieged majority. After rating the battle for the Senate as, quote, lean Republican earlier this year, Politico's election forecast, now, how dare they use lean, by the way? What are they, fatophobes? Now says neither party has a significant edge with 2 months to go until the midterms. A number of factors contributed to Democrats' resurgence, but the declining national headwinds facing the party are most responsible. No, that's false. Democrat voters are energized after the Supreme Court's Democrats are energized after the Supreme Court's abortion decision, and Donald Trump's constant presence in the spotlight is driving Democratic anger. They are not energized by the decision because they are already having the outcomes that they want. They already have bills working through state governments, and already at the federal level, the same thing is being worked on. So it is not, they're getting what they want, as they always do. Weaker Republican opponents in some states have also played a role. In Arizona, now they hate Arizona because isn't that a bunch of people that Trump is supporting? In Arizona, GOP nominee Blake Masters' struggles since winning the primary last month have moved the state from toss-up to lean Democrat, a reflection of Democratic Senator Mark Kelly's growing lead over Masters in Arizona. Wonder why that is. The Republican Party has pulled all the money out of Arizona. The Arizona shift leaves the 4 toss-up Senate races, 2 currently controlled by each party. If neither party wins one of the races where the opposition has an advantage now, Republicans would need to win 3 of the 4 toss-up races to wrest control of the majority. 4 key elements, according to Politico, even though there's really only one you need to talk about. Improving political environment for Democrats. On January 1, the polling average of President Joe Biden's approval ratings stood at 39%. As of Labor Day, it's now 43%. We've talked about polling. I don't need to go over that again. But let me just scan through here, see if there's anything else worth reading in that segment. Doesn't look like it. The gas prices, a lot of people are wondering about the gas, but the gas prices came down just a tiny bit. The reason why, in my opinion, the gas prices have come down a tiny bit is because of businesses going out of business. There's less demand because there are fewer businesses. So if you look at this tiny drop, I want to go back to the $2 gas that Trump gave us. If you look at this tiny drop in gas and you say, oh, whoopee, what you're celebrating is the death of the economy, because that's how the prices are going down. And again, in my opinion. The biggest march, okay, we've seen the Supreme Court's decision reversing nearly 50 years of federal abortion rights, your federal right to kill babies. Okay, Dobbs' decision, let's see, stupid, scramble the Senate. Masters looking for a new message. It also scrambled the Senate landscape and set candidates like Masters looking for a new message in the face of broad public disapproval of the court's decision. But Democrats still face this uncomfortable reality. The economy and inflation are still issue number one for voters. You see, this would be so easy for the Republican Party. And by the way, people like Masters out there need to be talking about the white race, white erasure, because even if he wins, if he goes on talking about all of this other stuff, he won't be able to do a thing. And then I don't want to hear from any of you saying, well, he couldn't do, well, he couldn't say, etc. Especially, you better not do it in arm's reach of me. That's bad enough for Republicans, even worse for Masters' plight, if not unique to GOP Senate can. This is another thing, is there are all these Republicans now, if you weren't aware of it, Republican strategists are saying, don't talk about abortion. Move as quickly as you can away from just wholesale, like abortion at birth. Don't even say that that's a bad thing. Just like they were going down to that guy in Texas, what was it, half a year ago or whatever, saying, whatever you do, don't say anti-white. In addition to Masters, that could also be true for Mehmet Oz in Pennsylvania, or J.D. Vance in Ohio, or Herschel Walker in Georgia, though Walker's primary victory was more decisive. This country. If Republicans have a candidate problem, it's most acute in Arizona, where the GOP and Super PAC Senate Leadership Fund canceled millions in planned advertising, diverting the money elsewhere. What a surprise, huh? But Oz in Pennsylvania has also struggled. His image ratings are badly upside down, though Republicans are hoping to narrow the race by attacking the Democrat. Okay, so they're going into some details that we find, certainly that I find, are far less decisive than the bottom line, which is the Republican hierarchy is attacking the vast majority of its voters. Democrats slightly expanding the map. Oh, the money pouring in, I guess. Okay, is what they're talking about there. A sea change. Similarly, the GOP has touted its nominee, Joe O'Dea, but his race against Democrat Senator Michael Bennet hasn't become a top target either. It's rated lean Democrat. A sea change that puts both blue state seats in play would offer Republicans a wider path to the majority, but also would likely mean they've pulled ahead in states like Georgia and Pennsylvania. That hasn't happened yet, according to the rest of that article. So let me see what you all are saying, and we can reiterate again and again, the only thing that we can do politically in the United States, because like we say, we are not going to recapture our destiny. This remains true. We are not going to recapture our destiny through voting or violence. It's simply not going to happen. You're not going to be able to go out into the United States. And let me try to break it down and make it clear. You're not going to be able to say to the white population of the United States, we need candidate X because he cares about Western kind and therefore America, and then have enough white people come out to put him in office to specifically do that. We're not going to be able to do that. We're not going to be able to do that. So all these content creators out there who are, they're entertainers, they are everything else under the sun, money makers for themselves, but their claims about being able to change the political landscape within the Republican Party and therefore incrementally towards something larger on the national stage are erroneous. They are a will of the wisp. They are ever ephemeral. They are ever elusive. You can never wrap your hand around it, and that's how it continues to make such people such fabulous incomes, because they just hold this dream out in front of you as though this could be true. And it's generation after generation have to come up, it seems, because nobody else's voice who has any sense, such as mine, can reach them. So generation after generation have to step up to this absolutely asinine approach and lose again and again. And it takes for some of them a long time before they finally become jaded and walk away from it. But it's depending upon how old and perceptive you are, you've seen this happen again and again and again in American politics. Isn't it enough, for God's sake? How many more times does this have to happen? We are not going to be able to get a candidate, enough people in America, white and non-white, to vote for a candidate because he's going to put an end to the victimization of Western kind. He's going to get on a lectern and say enough is enough of anti-whiteism. I'm going to put an end to the victimization of Western kind. I'm going to put an end to the destruction of these United States under the flag of anti-whiteism, and then have everybody vote for that guy to send him to office. And even if that could happen, even if I were to run and with all of that verbiage and win, what have I talked about before in office? What could Donald Trump get done as far as a politician going to office to make actual mechanistic, fundamental, societal changes in the country? Zero. So why are these people who make these claims that this can be done still supported? They can't defend their strategy for shit. They can't defend it for shit. And they still have support. What can be done, what you and I can actually do, is we can force the dissident, keep saying it, dissident politicians who are they? Anybody who says, no, I'm apart from that regime. I'm apart. And then based on the Republican regime, the Republican establishment, and then based on our numbers and how many people we can galvanize to action, we determine how many people, how many of those individuals that we can go at with the demands of say our name, to corner them with intelligent questions and comments and memes, and then to ridicule them into saying white race, Western kind, anti-whiteism. And by way of doing that, if they don't respond, we get to their voting base and we make sure they don't make it back to office. Are you one of the people out there that are going to say, well, then things will get worse if they don't make it back to office? Because if you are, you have just forfeited your right to think anymore. So let smarter people think for you. It's not going to be worse with any of these House members or whatever that you think are great losing to a Democrat. It's not going to be any worse. You have a false sense of security with these people. You're like a child with a fluffy blanket that you drag around the house. And what you need is a father to yank it away from you, slap the child's mother across the face with it, and then wind the thing up and snap you in the ass red until you want nothing more to do with that little comfort rag that you've been dragging around. I don't care what her name is, Green or Boebert or whatever. Until they say white race, Western kind, Westman, anti-whiteism, they're just like every other establishment Republican, except worse because they give you this false sense of security. That's what the lesser of two evils has always been, everybody. That's what it has always been. It's been a pacifier. It's been that comfortable blanket that kept you feeling safe and secure as everything burned down around you. Grow up. All right, let me see what you all are saying. Over here on Entropy, we have one from the great Yiz, the eunuch and unifier. $5 from this champion of champions, God among gods. Your political takes on America are top tier, she writes. I'm thankful we have men like you. I invite everyone I know to listen to these streams. I hope you become far more popular. You speak truth in the most American and most white way I've ever heard. Kip, God bless you, sister. Kip to you. That's a great. You speak truth in the most you speak truth in the most American and most white way I've ever heard. I love it. That is fabulously written. Thank you so much, good sister. Let me check over here on Odyssey. And looks like we have a financial gift of $1 from our very own, the great WWB. How about any Republicans who call it, quote, immigration rather than white erasure? That's where they get sent to. That's where they get sent. How about Republicans who call it immigration? Yeah, right. They should be calling it white erasure. Very astutely said, my brother. Very astutely said. White well-being advocate saying if they're calling it immigration, then they get the same treatment because it should be called white erasure. It is white erasure. Millions of people, millions and millions and millions pouring across the border. White erasure, not immigration. Could you imagine if Republicans were calling it that? Just the dissident ones. Imagine if they were like, this white erasure continuing across the southern border. Wow. That would change things overnight. But, part of the reason why it's so hard for us, it's so much of a challenge for us to get to these people, to have the numbers, to really pour it on with something like that, is because bigger content creators in the white sympathetic sphere, implicit and explicit, are too fucking scared to reference us, are too scared, are too cowardly to reference the good work that we're doing. Anti-whites never have that problem. Great to see Summer Lee over there, as well as a white well-being advocate. Yeah, and it's more than just, you see, the thing is that back in the day, it was always this question, and this is one of the things that I argued about when I worked on the Hill. It was always this question about pulling support and for a candidate. Like if that candidate doesn't do X, Y, or Z like we like, well, we'll pull support. And I don't want to get into the details of all the different duties that I had, but we didn't have any support to pull. The nerve center of the conservative movement, with the biggest conservative leaders, the biggest organization leaders in the country coming together every Wednesday, did not have enough pull to be able to pull support and sink a candidate. So I said, why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep threatening something that's toothless? Instead, tell them, especially in these off-the-record lunches that we had, just say, we will lie about you. We will tell all of your voters, we will ask in an article whether or not you raped children, and we'll just do it once and you'll be done. And they said, oh, no, we can't do that. We can't. That's how the other side plays. Well, they're winning. They're destroying America. You're going to pull support, and then they laugh. What are you going to do? You don't run any of the channels, right? You don't own the print media. You're giving them, this much of the money that they're running on that is not radically anti-white. The vast majority of it is from anti-whites. So pulling your support? No. You just be the I don't want to say you just be the needle. You be the needle in the haystack. We'll use this differently. That when you plop down on the haystack for fun, you end up getting stabbed right where you really don't want to get stabbed. You just be that, and then you get their fucking attention. Now, are there any other content creators out there that are talking about politics that have told you a tangible way, as I just did, how to manipulate politics in our favor? No, there aren't. Let's get out a big round of raucous emojis. 07s, raucous emojis. How about some V's for victory? For Maki, financially gifting 25. Let's put an end to this political nonsense dollars. $25. He says, with those $25, whites made America great. Amen to that, brother. And I'll tack on to that only in white people does America exist. No other race of people has made Western civilization than white people. Well, I guess I should also say that that's my opinion as well. Maybe you should check it out. God bless you, man. I thank you very much for that. $25. Yeah, where else? Where else are you hearing about how to actually manipulate politics when you have as little power as we do? It's just not happening elsewhere. Nobody else is talking about it. Let's see what you all are saying in the chat. We'll be rolling out of here in a minute. Waylon says, have you or Mark considered having Simon Roche on in the near future? He would have to, Waylon, the last time, no, I don't think Mark has. I don't think Mark Collett has. And he would have to be like 180 degrees different from the last time I heard him speak about going to the mountains and it's already over, and hoarding guns and hiding in the mountains until they come for us. I mean, that's the exact opposite of what I represent. Elaine says, Carrie Lake calls the border crisis an invasion. Get her to call it white erasure. The thing about her calling it an invasion, if her supporters call it that online, they're going to lose their accounts. The anti-whites will just delete all of their accounts. But you know what? Elaine, I think I saw a video where she called it an invasion, a snippet, a video. But she might be a perfect target then to present her with, hey, you should talk about Western kind. You should talk about white erasure. If she's already going to the point of saying invasion, maybe she's got the balls to step out there and say some of these other things. But I would say if we sat down like to hash out who should be targeted for this, I would say find the person that has demonstrated in whatever number of ways that they are the most easily pressured and manipulated. Now, I don't know specifically about her, but generally that's going to be females that are more responsive to social pressure. And then certain ones more than others. John Doe asks, any chance we can get our own version of Israel? No. That is, we need to work on, I mean, the simple answer is no. And a bit of a longer answer is we need to work on what is possible, not fantasies. And the idea of what you're referencing there is an ethno-state. And the idea of that is as fantastical as building a civilization on Mars. It's just pure fantasy. And the reason why people end up saying or being for an idea like, well, we just need, if we could just control the money, so let's work on that. If we could just have our own country, let's just work on that. We had our own countries. Did that work? The reason that most people do this is because there's nothing you can actually do. So various types of people fall into the group. The best of them are idealists. And, being quixotic like that is totally ineffective, and is just a way to idle away the time that we have with our lives. So the best of the people, and maybe that's you, idealistic. The worst of the people, they like that fantasy because they don't have to do anything. That just comes down to well, I'm not in a position for us to do anything for us to be able to print the money, but somebody should. We have tools all around us. We have genius all around us. We have creative people all around us. We can do. I'm a genius sitting right in front of you, who also happens to be in shape, a star athlete, and is better than anything you've seen in pornography. Are you listening to me? How long are we going to continue to ask? And I don't mean you personally, but generally speaking, how long are we going to continue to ask, well, what can be done, right after a genius articulates exactly what can be fucking done? Brad C is here. Great to see you, brother. Ladybug is here. Wonderful to see you, young lady. How are you feeling? Rory is here. The great Fornull is with us. Kingdom of Inland. And we have a real pessimist. Somebody by the name of Jack, real pessimist, that just keeps saying that we can't win. Okay, then go away. Why are you here? You're obviously a crypto anti-white. You would not show up and just keep telling people who are fighting to put an end to our victimization that nothing can be done. That's like, I don't know. That's like buying a model airplane, having no interest in putting it together. You just set it on the table. You're like, that can't be put together. Nothing can be done about that. Why do that? Why buy it? Why show up? Are you bored? If you're bored, your unrelated comments that distract people and that bring them down are going to be deleted. All right. Caleb says they aren't even BPE walking, Jason. No, they're not. Do you all know what BPE is? Do you if you don't, then you probably don't have it. But we have a bunch of guys that have some prodigious BPE. And they're BPE walking all the time, making changes in the world, making changes. Yeah, we've got these people. Think about it. And I'm going to get out of here soon. It's been an hour and a half. But we got champions like Caleb, all these guys out there. Nate. They're out there and they're engaging in these BPE walks on speakerphone, spreading the lexicon, and all of the other activities that we do, getting at staff members of big personalities in television, of elected officials, state and federal level, and communicating the lexicon. All of this organized, targeted, intelligently done, strategized. And I still have people showing up in threads to say, you didn't do that. Your group isn't doing that. They're not responsible for that. Yiz says she made a second entropy message. Thank you. I probably would have checked it, but who knows? But I appreciate it. Can you believe it again, folks? I want to do this myself one more time. Another salute for No White Guilt Clips. It's amazing. $100 and always active, always making clips. He got one clip that went viral with like 20,000. What was it, brother? 20,000 views. All of his clips should be doing that well. If you're not following No White Guilt Clips, you need to do it now. Let me get over to Entropy, and we have Yiz the Eunuch back again. Thank you so much, sister. $5 more from this champion. Please support her. She's doing great work in service to white well-being, and she has the ability. She could drop her channel link, please. And she writes here with $5 more. She says, "This stream got me fired up!" Exclamation point. Here's 5 more. I'm putting an end to anti-whiteism dollars. Oh, I love it. That's great. 5 more. I'm putting an end to anti-whiteism dollars. Exclamation point. We're taking back our damn country and putting a stop to this spiritual cancer. Go free now. Wow, she's epic. Everyone who knows Yiz knows that she's a force of nature. God bless you, sister. Well, my friends, it has been another magnificent. A big thank you to everybody who financially gifted. It's been another magnificent Jason Goes Political, if I do say so myself. And you probably found out a few new things about me, but that's okay. And what you can take away really from this is, of course, the suggestions about how we can make a difference when it comes to the political landscape. And we can do that right now. The only thing that anybody elected in office can do is spread concepts that empower the population of Americans, both white and non-white, against anti-whiteism. That is the only thing they can do. Otherwise, they're just posturing. They don't deserve a spot at a conference to speak unless they're saying our name. They don't deserve for us to laud them in comment sections unless they're saying our name. And you can take to your friends and family who talk about the Republican Party, maybe the Republican voters. You can take this conversation to them that Republicans are setting themselves up again big time for another loss these coming elections. And who knows what happens after that as a consequence, because they are waging war on the vast majority of Republican voters. And you know us by way of the ideas, the goals, the precepts, the promises that we support in candidates. No longer are we going to support them just because they give us these deceptive dog whistles. Now we're going to say from now on, what's our name? Until they answer that question right, our objective is to bring them down. It's not time for bed, but good night, America.